This video will not contain any major spoilers for any game released in 2025. Especially that one game. You know the one. 2025 was an insane year for gaming. We got a ton of new releases, both from indie studios and from large publishers, and it feels like everyone actually tried to make a good game this year, except for Black Ops 7. That game is just embarrassing. I also have to admit that I did not have time to play the following games, even though I wanted to. Those games are Doom the Dark Ages, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Hollow Knight Silksong. I'll be honest, I haven't even played the original Hollow Knight. The first new release that I played this year was Split Fiction. It is from the creators of It Takes Two and A Way Out, both pretty famous co-op games, and this game follows that kind of format, the two-player co-op only format. And this game is very similar to It Takes Two, where you go through different sections of the game that all have different gameplay and different gimmicks for each character to take on and overcome the challenges with. I found the gameplay in this game to be really fluid, and it just felt excellent to control. The game felt a lot more action-oriented in a lot of parts. There's a lot more combat, a lot more fighting, and there's great variety in the set pieces. One part of it feels like goddamn Titanfall, the way you're sliding around and wall running and shooting people. There's a whole like Tony Hawk area of the game where it's like a sci-fi Tony Hawk thing. It's really great. This game really never ran out of variety for me because it takes on sci-fi and fantasy. Both of these characters have their own sci-fi worlds and their fantasy worlds, and you leap between them. There's just so much to see and do in them. I didn't find the story to be as compelling as A Way Out, or It Takes Two for that matter, but the game is still excellent, and of course, Hazelight does this thing where they always have the friend pass, right? Where even if one person owns the game, someone else can download the quote-unquote friend pass version of the game for free and play it with them. And plus, Split Fiction has crossplay, so if you buy the game on a PS5, for example, you can play it with a friend who has a Switch for no additional cost, and you can do it anywhere in the world. It's great stuff. Another co-op game that I've been playing is LEGO Voyagers. This is another co-op game in the vein of Split Fiction and It Takes Two, except it's LEGO. And this game is a little bit different. It's very simple to play, only a few buttons to manage, jumping and snapping blocks together. That's pretty much the main control scheme of the game. And of course, this has a very widespread appeal. I think everyone likes LEGO. Everyone's played with LEGO at some point, and they make a lot of fun mechanics involving the LEGO bricks, where you can, build bridges or, use them to weigh down certain areas, like standard kind of like physics puzzles mixed with some like LEGO aspects. It's really fun. There are a few problems with the game though. I find that the camera can be really frustrating when two players get too far apart. That's something that a lot of games have a problem with, but this game really makes it hard because it can be very hard to see what you're doing. There's lots of fog effects, lots of bloom sometimes, so it can be a little rough. This game is still really good, and I recommend it. It's pretty cheap, nowhere near full price, and it comes with a friend pass, just like Split Fiction and It Takes Two, and it also has crossplay now as of a December patch. Another great co-op game that I played this year was Peak. Peak is pretty famous at this point, so I don't think I need to explain everything about it, but it's essentially just a game where you have to traverse a mountain through different unique regions with an emphasis on climbing. And it's a really unique concept, and they execute it very well. My favorite mechanic in Peak is the way that the health bar works. Your health bar is essentially a stamina bar, and the more you take damage, the more you starve, the more you freeze or burn. Anything that can take your health away will reduce the stamina you have to climb up places, to climb up a hill or even sprint or anything like that. And it's a good way to tie together health and stamina in a way that feels meaningful. This game can be extremely challenging and often totally unfair. Just a heads up. But the game is always fun with friends because it has proximity chat, which is recommended to use in the game, and because proximity chat is always the best thing about any game, let's be real.
Tell my wife I love them. I didn't even need it.
And the game has also gotten a really good selection of updates and new areas. There's a lot of unique little discoveries to make on the island, and it's just a really solid co-op game. The game is cheap and accessible for new players, so yeah, I recommend it. Another huge indie co-op hit this year was Schedule 1, and this is just a damn fun game. It's great fun with a few friends, dealing drugs, killing people, that kind of thing. What drew me into this game was the kind of itch for a new tycoon kind of game, but it mixes that tycoon element of making money and upgrading your own business with the actual thrill of drug dealing and, being a real piece of shit. It's a lot of fun. And there's a great sense of progression in the game where you go from just growing and dealing weed out of the back of a Chinese restaurant to owning your own drug empire and having dealers that work for you, selling cocaine, selling meth, and shrooms got added to the game recently too. It is just a really fun game. If you play it with friends, you're gonna laugh a bunch, I guarantee it. It's just an insane game. It is very cheap and accessible as well, so, go out and get it. Now that I've talked about a few indie games, here's another heavy hitter, Monster Hunter Wilds. This is generally just an excellent co-op game. It's kind of like a quasi-MMO, actually. You join a lobby, and there's kind of like a shared world element with other players. Beyond that, though, the gameplay is very, very satisfying. There's so much to learn, so much you can know about Monster Hunter when it comes to just getting better at the game, how to use your different items. How to use your weapons is like you could take a whole class on how to use the different weapons in this game. It's really awesome. And the progression is deep. It's rewarding. This game also really rewards careful planning and preparation, which I just love. It doesn't feel like a run around, beat 'em up kind of game. It just feels like you are legit hunting a monster with some more fantastic elements like the crazy weapons and stuff like that. But it still manages to ground you and make you feel really accomplished when you manage to overcome a challenge like a really hard monster or whatever. Plus, the game has really, really good music and sound design. It's all very just solid. The sound design in particular is kind of a shame that they didn't get nominated for it because it's really damn good. The atmosphere in general is excellent in all of the areas. I really love the starting area, the desert area. It's just nice and wide open. It feels dangerous but also welcoming at the same time. This game really does all that very well. Plus, this game has cross-play, so you can play with all your friends no matter what platform they're on. I will admit, though, that this game does have some problems with playing the story co-op. The story does have moments where you play it single player and moments where you play it co-op, and it might not be obvious to a new player what is co-op and what is single player. To be honest, the story, I just didn't care for it. I didn't care for it in Monster Hunter World, really. I don't care for it here. The characters can be really, really annoying. The game also had really, really awful performance when it came out. Like, I'm talking terrible performance. This has been improved by updates, so it is better now, but it's still not, as good as it could be in my opinion. Either way, this is still a great game all around. I think it's totally worth the money, especially if you get it on sale. If you're into kind of slower, more methodical third-person combat, this game is going to really scratch that itch, I think. But now we're going to move from methodical to insane crackhead rush with Elden Ring Nightreign. I think this is the most unique Souls game that's ever existed. I probably don't need to explain what Elden Ring is, I would hope. But this game is essentially a roguelike co-op online version of a Souls game, pretty much. And of course, this comes with a lot of new mechanics like wall jumping, sprinting, like surge sprinting. It's really fast. Every character has their own unique abilities and ultimate arts. It's kind of insane how much variety there is of the characters. They all feel really cool to play. Plus, this game has the return of Dark Souls 1 bosses. That's right, I finally got to fight motherfucking Artorias again in a new Souls game, and he had new moves and shit. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Plus, there's incredible new boss fights. All the Night Lords in this game are so insanely cool to fight in one way or another. They're all very unique, and their soundtracks are just out of this world. They're insanely good. I think my favorite bosses are Caligo and Libra. They break new ground for what a Souls boss can actually be, and it was just such a spectacle fighting them. And it's really nice to see them kind of pushing the envelope and experimenting in a game that isn't canon so they can kind of mess around and do whatever they want with their own bosses. I think one of the biggest selling points of Elden Ring Nightreign compared to the other Souls games is how easy it is to play with friends when compared to, say, Dark Souls or Elden Ring. Because in those games, you have to know how multiplayer works. Multiplayer is tied to items that are in-world, items that exist in the universe that you use to play multiplayer. In this game, you send an invite on Steam and they join your game. It's that simple. Although, there is no crossplay in this game. Even though From Software is my favorite studio in the business right now, I gotta say, they are really behind the times when it comes to certain online functionality like crossplay. So hopefully their next game that isn't Duskbloods will figure out how to use crossplay. I will say though that I think the roguelike elements could be a lot better. The maps especially are kind of samey, except for the new DLC map, that works great. But all of the base game maps, they are just variants of the same overworld. So they add, a volcano area to the overworld, or a mountain area, or a nocturnal city, that kind of thing. It's kind of samey. I also have to say that this is the most frustrating Souls game in my opinion, because it is a roguelike, right? So it can be very, very challenging if you get bad drops, and if you die right before day 3, right on that second boss, you're gonna be livid, because runs in this game are pretty lengthy for you to actually get to the main boss. But with all of that considered, I still think that this game has the most unique and kind of the best combat out of any Souls game if you like fast-paced action games. If you prefer the more Dark Souls 1, slower, methodical style like I do, then this won't be a big thing for you. And plus this game, if you prefer the RPG sides of Souls games, this game doesn't have any of that. This game is a pure action roguelike to play with your friends. This game is not a proper Souls game. Do not treat it like that. But it is still really good, and I recommend it to anyone who likes fast-paced, co-op roguelikes or third-person action games. Next up we have Lies of P Overture. And this isn't a full game, it's an expansion, it's a DLC, but it's more Lies of P, and it's an excuse for me to talk about Lies of P, because Lies of P is the best Souls-like game that was not created by From Software. It does everything right, and it does some things better than From Software even, which sounds like, heresy, but it's kind of true. This game is just really, really good, and I can't even really describe it. It just feels right to play, This kind of follows suit with like a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls 3 more than it tries to copy Elden Ring. It came out 1 year after Elden Ring, so that wouldn't have been possible, of course, but it feels more linear. It's more gothic, it's gritty in some ways, and it feels just really good to play. It takes elements from all of the Souls games. You have the rally mechanic from Bloodborne, you have parrying from Sekiro, as well as the, arm attachments from Sekiro. It takes so many different parts of the different Souls games and kind of combines it, and it's really good. If you like Souls games and you ever thought that the open world from Elden Ring was too cumbersome and too large, this is definitely the game for you. It's just really fun. I will say though that there is no character creation. You are playing as this universe's version of Pinocchio, but there is still endless build variety thanks to the weapon crafting system and the progression mechanics, like the P organ. It's really called the P organ. That's one of the main progression mechanics of the game, is the fucking P organ. Overall, this is still a really good game that is well worth the money if you're just into, again, third-person action games, and if you want another Souls-like game that is on the level of From Software in many regards, then yes, absolutely play this game. 2025 also saw a major console launch with the Switch 2, so we're going to talk about a few Switch 2 games right now. So Mario Kart World is the obvious one to start with, and yes, this game did start the recent wave of game price increases, but this game on its own is very polished and it feels like a complete product. There's no DLC or microtransactions or even like amiibo features in it, so I think I'm okay with it. I'm really... Games charge you $10 for a deluxe edition nowadays to own all the content. A game like Monster Hunter has tons of cosmetic DLC in it and that's full price. I think spending another $10 on a game, if you enjoy it, I think that's okay. The new game mechanics are a big highlight here for me. They add a lot of complexity to each race, like there's the wall riding, the rails, you can go on water now, it's really cool, and there's some crazy stuff you can do with it. You can find whole new routes through races, and it's just a lot of fun. It's really, really fluid and well implemented as well. And there's a ton of characters to play as. They even have my favorite, Monty Mole, so I can finally play as Monty Mole and kick my family's fucking ass at this game. But unfortunately, Mii racers have been removed from this game. You cannot play as your own Mii and dress them up in a racing outfit and play, which is a real shame. And this is a different little thing here, but Nintendo is starting to slowly phase out the Miis, and that really fucking sucks in my opinion. I love the Miis. It was always so cool to me that you could have a Wii from 2005 or whenever it came out, and you could take that Mii, put it on the Wii U when that came out, take that Wii U Mii and put it on the Switch when that came out, and then transfer your Switch data to the Switch 2, you'd be using the same Mii for 20 years, and you'd have this personalized character playing through your games with you ever since the Wii generation. But they're starting to phase that out, and Nintendo needs to get their head out of their ass and bring the fucking Miis back. They're like the best thing they ever did. I don't know what the problem is. How iconic is the Wii channel music? How iconic is that? It's you hear it in every shitty meme in the world. But let's go back to the game and talk about the game modes. There is, of course, Grand Prix, as is standard with every Mario Kart game. But Grand Prix in this game, I am honestly not a huge fan of it because of the way that it handles the different races, or even the places between the different races. You see, in Mario Kart World, all of the tracks in the game are based on one big map, one big open world, which is pretty impressive and it's pretty cool. But in Grand Prix, you don't play a race and then play the next race and then play the next race like is standard. You have to play a race, the first race, you do the 3 laps on that, and then you drive from that first track to the next track, which is pretty cool. I actually like that. But then you only do 1 lap on that new track, sometimes not even a full lap, and then you're done with that track. And the real problem is that there is no option for Classic Grand Prix. That's not a thing you can do in this game. You have to play this new Grand Prix format. If you like it, that's great, but I also kind of miss the way Mario Kart 8 handled Grand Prix and every other Mario Kart game where you just played the 4 races in succession, because 3-lap maps are the definitive Mario Kart experience, in my opinion. But there is a mode that really well utilizes the new open world, which is Knockout Tour. Knockout Tour is essentially a battle royale, where there is a giant track that is drawn in a line across the entire map of the game pretty much, and you and 23 other players drive through checkpoints. And at each checkpoint, the bottom 4 players get eliminated until there is only 4 left, and then the person who gets to the checkpoint first wins the match. It's actually really, really fun. If you play this mode online, it's gonna really test your endurance, because these races can last quite a while. They're usually around like 10 minutes or whatever, which is a long time to be, playing Mario Kart 4 in one single sitting without any breaks between tracks or whatever. But it actually uses the open world elements really well. There's big open spaces you can cut across. There's tons of like little hazards and stuff that can happen. You're driving on the roads and there's traffic on the roads you have to avoid. It is actually a really, really fun mode, and it's a unique take on a battle royale that actually is really fun. But if you want the ultimate classic Mario Kart experience, you want to play Versus Race. Versus Race is what it always has been. You just play races with your friends with customizable rules and whatever. You can of course pick a map and play it in a standard 3-lap race, but there is also the option to pick a track and then pick a route from that track to another track, which becomes its own map in its own right. So if you like that kind of straightaway no lap format, Versus Race kind of offers that too. It kind of makes Grand Prix a little obsolete in some ways. So if you actually try and play all the different combinations of tracks, you're going to be playing for a long, long time. So it's actually a great addition to the game, and the open world has provided some value to the game. And of course, you also have your standard time trial mode, and of course, battle mode. Battle mode in this game is pretty good, no problems with it, and they've managed to create some pretty cool battle areas in the open world itself. And that's why I think open world is actually a net positive for this game, even regardless of the actual open world game mode itself. The open world in this game, which you can enter and drive around as you wish, is entertaining and surprisingly detailed in some areas, but it's kind of shallow. It's kind of a collect-a-thon, and I don't mean that in a good way. You go around and you complete some cool missions, which are pretty fun, but you don't get rewarded with anything other than stickers and whatever. You can drive around and collect food as different characters to unlock new outfits, but that is something you can actually do in the races as well. So the open world is kind of a supplemental feature in this game, which is surprising considering that they use it so effectively in the other modes. I also have to say that the game looks great and runs great. Of course, it is a launch title for a brand new console, so they nailed that right in the head. If you play 4-player split screen, the way Mario Kart is designed to be played, it is still only 30 FPS, which is a little disappointing, but it's really not the end of the world either. I think Mario Kart World in general is a really good game, and it offers enough value to overall justify the price point. But if you're only a fan of the standard 3-lap format from the past Mario Kart games, then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still the definitive Mario Kart experience if that's all you care about. But Mario Kart World does do enough to set itself apart from Mario Kart 8, and it's a pretty good game. Now for the game with the longest name in the world, Super Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV. That's the official title of the game, I'm not joking around. This is just the Switch 2 version of Mario Party Jamboree, and Jamboree has tons of content and ways to play. Tons of different modes. There's standard Mario Party, there's a bunch of motion mini games you can play. Of course, there's the mini game area. There's a single player story mode where you help set up the Jamboree party by going to the different maps and messing around on them. There's a couple of other single player modes. There's one where you play an 8-player co-op. You can do it with other players online, and it's just it's like a Destiny raid in Mario Party. It's really strange, but it's kind of fun to play every now and then. And there's a really quick-paced 20-player game mode where you actually have to beat everyone in this weird kind of race format. These modes are pretty fun, and it's crazy to see 8-player and 20-player mini games in a Mario Party game. And they play really well online too. But let's go back and focus on the actual core of the game again, Mario Party. The map variety in this game is quite good. There's a raceway map where you get tons of speed dice to speed around the map. There is a 3-story shopping mall that rewards you for spending money and collecting these stamps, and you can turn them in at the front desk. It's a pretty fun one. And they even included a few classic Mario Party maps, so you still get some of the old stuff in with a lot of the new stuff too. There's also Jamboree Buddies, which are a great addition to the game. Essentially, at a certain point, another character will spawn on the map, and if someone goes to that character, you play a big mini-game where you fight over the right to have that character join your party. And they give you tons of unique benefits, like you can buy 2 stars at once. Whenever you land on a space, that space will activate twice. So you can buy from a shop twice, or get coins twice. This also applies to negative spaces like Bowser spaces. You can land on a Bowser space twice in one turn, which is a great way to balance it out. It makes the game just feel more unique and fun and crazy. And of course, Mario Party is intended to be played with family and friends. This game still has all of those heartbreaking defeats and those clutch victories that Mario Party is known for, and it will still make people hate you for a whole day. I've had that happen already. One problem I really have with this game is that you can barely customize the game rules. I'm talking Nintendo's never been a fan of options, but the options in this game are super bare bones. You can't, there's no minigame pool selection. You can't enable or disable certain items or certain Jamboree characters. It's really bare bones in that regard. And I want to be able to customize my Mario Party game to be exactly the way I want. I want to be able to ban certain items, ban certain, Jamboree characters, that kind of thing. This game has none of that. And I have to say that the split between Mario Party and this Jamboree TV part of the game is so confusing, because there are a bunch of Mario Party gameplay elements that you can only access by going back to the main menu, out of Mario Party, and going into Jamboree TV. What the fuck? It's insane. You have to go into Jamboree TV to play 5-round modes or team modes, like 2v2 modes. Why? Why is that a thing? Just put it in the base game. It's so weird. But I will say that this Jamboree TV element of the game can be entertaining. It essentially uses all the new Switch 2 stuff to have some unique gameplay. Like, there's a whole section in there where you have to use the built-in Joy-Con 2 mouse to play mouse minigames, which is a super unique idea for Mario Party, and it adds a lot of new possibilities for what you can do with the game. And you can, of course, enable these mouse minigames in Mario Party default, so if everyone is using a Joy-Con, you can actually have a really good variety of minigames. And there is a whole section based on microphone-based activities, which is, I mean, it's alright. It's another little fun gimmick for the game, and it does add more content. Overall, this game is definitely worth the money if you have people to play with, and there are even still modes that you can play online with others too. There's even like a ranked online Mario Party thing you can do here. So in general, this is a finished, solid game, and it's well polished, and it's worth the money. And the other Switch 2 game I played this year was Metroid Prime 4. This is just a decent game, I'll be honest. It's well polished, it has excellent atmosphere, cool music, satisfying gameplay, you know, standard kind of Metroid unlocks and progression. It performs great in handheld and in docked mode. I love how you can scan everything in the game pretty much and just kind of get, like, really immersed. And that's something that you don't see a lot in Nintendo games, I think, so I appreciate them doing that. The open world can feel kind of shallow, I can admit, but the motorcycle does feel good to drive around, and they managed to incorporate it pretty well into the rest of the game, so Metroid Prime 4 is a pretty good game. Maybe wait for a sale, even though Nintendo never puts any of their games on sale. Another very immersive game I played this year was Chronos: The New Dawn. I want to thank Bloober again for giving me this game for free, so thank you, Bloober team. This is just a really solid survival horror game, and it does the main thing that any survival horror game should do, which is, you know, give you that feeling when you're running away from an enemy, kicking your legs a little bit and you're like really anxious. This game does have that. So it does the number one thing that a survival horror game has to do. This game has a really, really cool atmosphere and like a tone to it. You get this like 20th century Poland with a lot of sci-fi aspects and like weird time anomalies and stuff. It looks really cool, and it is pretty fun to just explore the world. This game has a lot of disturbing themes and imagery, so if you're not into gore or anything bad happening, you know, the survival horror games aren't for you anyway. There's a lot of kitty cats running around, and you can pet them, and you can save them to your database or something like that. There's a lot of satisfying gameplay moments and progression. When you actually get through these areas, you are often scraping by, and there is no difficulty selection. This game is balanced around a pretty brutal setting, and it's actually very fulfilling when you actually make it through an area and you start upgrading your character. It feels great. The gameplay itself is slow, appropriately slow for a survival horror game, but it's also fluid. You never feel a lack of control on your character, and it plays a lot like Dead Space. If you're into Dead Space, you'll like this game, I think. When it comes to the weaponry, the stomp, the way your character moves around, the way the zero-G stuff works, it's so very much inspired by Dead Space, and that's just a good thing because it manages to set itself apart with its own unique themes and atmosphere. So, bravo for that. If you're into survival horror, this is a really good game, and I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this game, but I think it's quite good, and I recommend it. And now for something totally different, Battlefield 6. Battlefield 6 is a good shooter, and it is the best sort of mainstream FPS that came out this year, if you ask me. This game nails the core Battlefield gameplay with great gunplay and great movement. It's not too fast, but it could be a little slower paced, if you ask me. But the destruction is actually pretty cool at times. It has like a bit of like a Battlefield 1 feel to the destruction. It's not crazy Levolution stuff. There's none of that in this game, unfortunately, but it is really solid. There's like, you know, chunks that can fall off buildings and fall onto tanks and damage them, and it is in general pretty well designed. I think that the gunsmith is actually pretty cool. It's kind of like, I know, a Call of Duty-esque system, but you get a budget of 100 points, and different attachments take up certain amount of points. It's a nice way to handle the gunsmith in a mainstream shooter. This game also has a lot of negatives, unfortunately. The campaign is painfully average and forgettable. It's far from the worst campaign I've played in my life, but it is so, it's nothing. I don't care about it like at all. I haven't even finished it. The map selection in this game is awful. compared to past Battlefield games. All the maps are tiny. There's no room for aircraft really at all. That's one thing they gotta focus on. If they had better maps in this game, I would say this game is excellent, but right now it's kind of good. And class balance is fucking strange. Like, they removed class-locked weapons, which I don't really agree with personally, but they also changed a lot of the class's stuff around. Like, they said, okay, we don't want recons to camp with the spawn beacon and snipe people. Then they gave the spawn beacon to the assaults and let assaults use sniper rifles anyways. It doesn't make any sense why they said that. That was strange as hell. And Battlefield Portal, I haven't tried it in a little bit, but it is a completely non-functional piece of shit. I can't join matches in it, I can't host matches in it. I joined one broken shipment match on launch day, and that was the only time it worked for me. It doesn't work. But the main reason I'm talking about Battlefield 6 is because DICE fucking destroyed Black Ops 7 this year. That game is an embarrassment to the human race. I played some Black Ops 7. It is just the worst shooter. That's it. It's just the worst shooter. If you think Battlefield 6 looks fun, then you can try out RedSec for free. RedSec is just Battlefield's version of Warzone, pretty much. And there is a really cool mode in RedSec called Gauntlet, which is like a... it's almost like the finals tournaments kind of thing, where you play it through a bunch of different missions with a group, and you get eliminated if you're not doing well. It's pretty fun, I like RedSec. But if you're a fan of past Battlefield games and you want to play this game, you gotta consider how important map design is to you, because the maps in this game are fucking terrible. They're really, really bad. I think the reason for that is because all of the good DICE devs left to go work at Embark Studios and create Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders is an excellent game. It is the first extraction shooter to successfully break into the mainstream market and stay in the mainstream market. I really can't think of any major glaring flaws with the game. There are things I would improve, but in general, the game is great. Everything from sound design, the soundtrack, the gameplay, looting is satisfying, the way they balance PvP and PvE, it's all great. The game feels a lot like Star Wars Battlefront to me, the newer DICE ones. The gameplay is perfectly paced. It's not a twitch shooter, it's not super fast, but it doesn't feel sluggish either. You never feel like you're super slow. There is no slide canceling, bunny hopping shooting. You actually need to position yourself and take combat tactically. Take it at an appropriate pace. Again, it's the perfect mix of nice tactical combat and fast-paced combat moments. And the way that this game balances the PvP and PvE is so good. Enemies, the Ark themselves, are actually very difficult to fight sometimes. There are the smaller ones that you can take on yourself, but there are big boys like the Rocketeers, Bombardiers, Bastions, and the fucking Matriarch. And if you're solo, you're often gonna have to put your trust in another human being to help you fight a large enemy. And that's really where this game shines, in my opinion. It is a social sandbox. It's a true role-playing game. You can be whatever person you want in this game. You can run around and shoot other players indiscriminately. You can flat out refuse to fight other players and try to team up with them to fight the Ark. Or you can do a mix of both, kind of sneaking around and helping people when it serves you and shooting them when it serves you as well. And people in Arc Raiders are actually very social as well. They will talk in this game. It's something that has been lost in your average mainstream shooter for a long time, but this game has brought back these social, fun elements of shooters. The interactions you have with other players make every match into its own little adventure. Every match is going to feel different depending on how other players are playing and how they interact with you. Sometimes you will get hunted down like a dog by a group, and you might run into other players that can help you fight back against the person hunting you. It's really awesome. You might down another player, and they could be begging for their life on their knees, and you can take mercy on them and defib them and bring them back up. Again, putting yourself at risk of another betrayal. If any of that sounds appealing to you, this is the game for you. This game is so much fun. I also gotta say that this game has great performance and graphics. In general, the visual design and everything in this game is really good. That's what DICE and now Embark have been known for, I think, is really great sound design, really great graphics, and really fluid gameplay. This game is not full price. I think it's the same price as Helldivers 2, but this game has that full AAA quality that you would have expected from DICE back in the Battlefield 1 days. It's excellent how much they polished this game and actually made it feel great, and for such a low price. I do have to admit, though, that the quest design in this game is probably the weakest element. Even though questing is generally satisfying because it's nice to complete objectives in any game, they are far too simplistic and there's not enough of them. They are decent enough little quests, but they don't feel like they have that edge to them, you know? And I also have to say that this game is not as tense and as heart attack inducing as my other favorite extraction shooter, Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov is the granddaddy of extraction shooters, and it does things that most shooters couldn't dream of. Escape from Tarkov has the thickest atmosphere of any game I have ever played in my life. There's a really cool soundtrack too. The sound design, the actual quality of the sound effects is insane. It's just crazy good. It feels real. In the map design in this game, the maps are so insanely detailed. So much love and care is clearly put into the map design. It's insane how much you can get to know them as these real places. And if you like guns, if you like actual guns, this game has the most in-depth weapon systems you might ever see in a video game. Every single element of a weapon is covered in this game, and you can interact and manipulate just about everything to do with your weapons. The modding of weapons is insanely in-depth. You need to pack your magazines with the right bullets and put the magazines in your gun just to shoot your gun. And yeah, that might sound cumbersome, but this game is not for everyone. This is a hardcore game. This game has immense depth and a massive learning curve. I've been playing since 2019, and there are still things that I learn about the game to this day. When you're new to this game, you will genuinely fear for your life. It's insane how immersed you can get in this game. You will get genuinely scared when you're playing this game solo in PvP. It's crazy, man. And there's no HUD. You know, there's no there's a little stamina bar and a health thing. That's it. There's no map. That's it. You're just in this zone and you have to get the fuck out. Now, this game is simultaneously the best shooter I've ever played and also a giant piece of shit at the same time. This game is, first off, very expensive, I'll be honest. If you just want to play the game and PvE mode, that's $100. If you want one of the higher editions, it can go up to, $250. The performance in this game is usually subpar. It can be good sometimes and really bad others. It's super inconsistent. The loading times in this game are completely unreasonable, especially when compared to Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders, you can load into a game in 30 seconds. In this game, you're going to take 4 minutes to load a match. It's ridiculous. They need to fix that soon. The game can have a variety of bugs sometimes. Usually it's nothing game-breaking, but sometimes that can happen. And in general, this game might make you hate yourself. So I give it 10 out of 10 because I love it. Expedition 33. This game is almost perfect, in my opinion. I know that people, call me a glaze or call me whatever. I love this game. Genuinely, I love it. The story is gripping. It's emotional. It's unpredictable. You'll never see the twists and turns this game has for you. It's insane. It is possibly the best soundtrack in any game, period. The soundtrack is fucking phenomenal. It's so good. The acting is incredible from everyone involved, and it has a great cast. And I'm not just talking about the voice actors, the mocap actors were insane. Max Sense did an amazing job with mocapping, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Visually, this game is a feast for the eyes. Not only is it technically good looking, it's just artistically beautiful. The opening scene of this game, man, is just, it's insane. It's so good. And beyond all that, the gameplay is excellent. I know that some people take issue with the idea of dodging and parrying in a turn-based sort of JRPG system, but I think that this game is well built around that idea. They didn't just slap it on an existing game, they built the game that they wanted to make, which incorporates real-time elements into a turn-based system, which I really like because it means that I'm never sitting there and watching something happen to me. I can stop it from happening. I can interact with the battle at all stages. The build crafting and character progression is also just perfect. It's not too complicated and it's not too simple. Leveling up your characters is very Souls-like, where you have different attributes that do certain things and weapons scale off of these different attributes, you know, just like Souls. So you can level up your character in a variety of different ways, and you never feel like you're doing something inherently wrong by leveling up one skill over another. The Pictos and Lumina system are really, really good for crafting a build. You can make any character into a tank or a healer or any of the above. It's just so good. I can really not do justice to it by talking about it. You just have to play the game. And the game is the perfect length. It doesn't drag on, and it only leaves you wanting more as soon as you're done it. It's perfectly balanced in that regard. The only issue I ever took with this game was that there is a huge difficulty spike near the end game. At least there was for me. I was playing on hard mode, so when I went from a certain point in the game to another certain point in the game, it was really, really harsh, but I eventually overcame it. And best of all, this game is not full price. This game acts like a full-priced RPG. It's a masterpiece, but it's only like $60 where I live, and that's Canadian money. And it's on Game Pass, so if you already have Game Pass, you can go play Expedition 33 right now. Or if you just want to play it once through, then you can get 1 month of Game Pass and play the game. If you hate this game for sweeping the Game Awards, I understand, because when you're a fan of something, you want to see it succeed. But this game is a genuine masterpiece that will define this generation of gaming, along with games like Elden Ring. This game is a must-play, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't tried it out because it won some awards, because this game is going to be studied for years to come, and it deserves that much.